Hi, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Kat Shear, and this is a special presentation from Clydesdale Media. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone about our sponsors. RX Smart Gear provides world-class jump ropes, grips, and other gear for us all. Use the code Clydesdale15 for 15% off your order at rxsmartgear.com. Mobility Movement is a program that teaches you how to increase your capacity to heal, reduce recovery time, and restore your nervous system to peak health. Everyone gets a 7-day trial, and after that, our followers get their first month free when they use the code Clydesdale Free Month at mobilitymovement.com. And finally, C4 Energy, delivering the most effective, best tasting, and highest quality products. Get 20% off when you use the code Clydesdale at checkout at c4energy.com. And joining us today on the show for Meet the Athlete, we're chatting with Atlas Games semifinalist Nikki Matarazzo. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
You are our first guest from the Atlas Games.
Wow, amazing. Very cool.
So we're trying to get with everybody and just to give you a little bit of recognition and notoriety to make sure that people know who you are, so that when they see you on the field, you know, they have just a little bit of more of a personal connection to you. I do a little bit of research, but we're going to learn a lot more than what I've discovered, hopefully.
Okay.
On the CrossFitGames.website, it says that you're 31 years old, and I don't know how tall you are because I don't do centimeters. How tall are you? Are you tall, short, average?
No, I'm short. I'm 5'2".
5'2". Okay, that's me too.
Yeah.
How many centimeters is that?
150 something? 152,
150.
I think.
Yeah, 152. I think.
Right, I hope.
I'm jotting this down for future reference, because I would imagine at Atlas Games we're going to get a lot of Canadian athletes that use the metric system, so that's helpful for me. Do you have dual citizenship?
Yes, with Italy though. So that's probably what you saw on the CrossFit Games website, because I competed as an Italian for 2 years. So I do.
Okay.
I got my Italian citizenship when I was playing professional soccer overseas in 2009, and it was just easier for all travel reasons. So I have my Canadian passport as well as my Italian one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your professional soccer career.
Oh my goodness. It seems like so long ago now. It's almost been 10 years, but it was an incredible period of my life. I started playing soccer when I was like 4, probably. And I always wanted to play professionally. I just didn't know in which capacity. And so when I went to my first year of university, so college in the States, but university in Canada, I went through my first year and had the opportunity to go overseas to play in a couple of tournaments. And at that point in time, I was scouted by 2 separate teams. And the first time that someone reached out, I turned it down because I didn't know if I wanted to do it. I wanted to finish my school first. But when the opportunity came around again, I thought, I have to give this a try. I had never heard of Sardinia before, which is an island off the southwest coast of Italy. But I thought, this looks beautiful in pictures, so let's go for a year. And then 1 year turned into 5 years, 4 of which were in Italy, 1 of which was in England. And it was just so incredible. So I hung up the soccer boots at 23 and have been doing CrossFit ever since. Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
So I went to school physically in person in Kingston, Ontario. So it's just a university here in Canada. And then when I moved overseas, I continued my studies with 3 different schools, because at the time, if we think like 10 years ago or more, online learning, virtual learning wasn't really as popular as it obviously is now. So I wanted to get a degree in psychology. And at the time, no school that I wanted to get a degree from had a full online program. So I pulled courses from different universities. And so my actual undergrad is from an online university called Athabasca, but it consists of courses from 3 different schools.
A mishmash of courses taken from a bunch of different places.
Yeah,
doesn't matter how you get the credits, right? Just get them and move on.
Yeah.
So when did you start CrossFit then? During your career as a soccer player or after?
Yeah, so I started near the end. I came home one summer, as I always would do, and I wanted to stay fit, but in a new way. And so I heard of CrossFit. I had heard of CrossFit, and people had talked a lot of great things, obviously, about it, and said that it's a great way to stay fit for other sports. So I gave it a try. I trained CrossFit all summer, and then I went into what ended up being my last season of soccer, having done CrossFit for 2 months. At that point in my life, I was pivoting from the Italian league to the English league. And as I was playing in the English league, I was doing CrossFit in London, like in the UK. And I started to love being in the gym more than I liked being on the pitch. And so when I ended up moving back home, somewhat abruptly at the very end of 2013, I pivoted right to CrossFit and have basically been doing CrossFit ever since. So mid 2013, and here we are, gosh, 10 years later almost.
So your story sounds a little bit like Jen Dancer. Are you familiar with her and her story? So Jen and Sam Dancer.
I know the name.
Yeah. So she was a professional soccer player too. And she played in Europe, I believe, and came home for like a summer and met Sam. He was like a trainer and he trained her, and like he was doing CrossFit like workouts, and you know, they knew right away that they wanted to be together. She went back to wherever she was playing, and then they ended up getting together. So it just reminded me of that when you said they came back and found it. You didn't by any chance meet your future wife when you were home for CrossFit, did you?
Well, actually, not so suddenly or so soon, but I definitely met my future wife in less than 2 months, because I am getting married very soon. We met
54 days.
Yeah, 54 something days? Like that. Yeah. Counting those down. So talk about like semi-final training while also planning a wedding. It's been great.
Yeah, that's got to be stressful.
But see the whiteboard, it's just full of things to do, just crossing things off. But so I met Yaja. Her name is Yaja, and she was a very competitive CrossFit athlete for a number of years, and we met in 2017 because we came in Canada East at the time. We came 23rd and 24th in the Canada East region during the Open. And that year, it was my first year making it to regionals, but I ended up going team because I'd committed to my James team. She ended up going, and I didn't know her at the time. She ended up going as an individual. And so I kind of, for lack of a better word, I kind of stalked her all weekend long just to be like, oh, I wonder how I would have done. We clearly finished the Open. And then I didn't really know her. And I was like, oh, she's cool. And then I messaged her afterwards just to say, hey, great job. And we started talking, and things kind of went from there. So we decided to meet up for a local CrossFit competition, because at the time we were living about 3 hours away from one another. And when she came down for the weekend, it was like, all right, let's give this a try. And we've basically been inseparable ever since. So it's going to be 5 years just next month.
Yeah, that's very cool. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials too. That's exciting.
You
got a lot going on. I noticed too that I saw you on the roster at the Rogue Invitational in 2019. Yes. How did that come about?
Oh my gosh, that was such a whirlwind looking back. So I stumbled upon Rogue doing a qualifier for this thing called the Rogue Invitational. And I was like, I'll give it a try. Like, why not? I was coming off a pretty heavy competition year in 2018. I did like 10 comps. I was in the UK for functional fitness stuff. And it was the whirlwind of things going on. And so I stumbled upon the qualifier, and I was quite shocked to qualify. And it really wasn't until I got there that I realized how big and how
big deal
how incredible this competition would be. And so that was probably one of the most challenging points in my CrossFit career. It was just a weekend full of learning experiences. And if I got severely burned by the ropes in the first workout. Okay. And it really threw me for a loop for the remainder of the weekend. But each day I would just come back and I was like, I'm going to do my best. And so it was really, really cool being there. And looking back, I learned so much from the weekend. And it was the hardest moment in CrossFit for me, I would say, was that weekend, but also probably I got so much out of it because of the multiple challenges that came out throughout the couple of days.
That was like the first time that we had seen rope climbs with a weighted vest, I think too, right? There was one girl on a team, I think, that really sliced her hand pretty severely, and I think had to withdraw maybe, that was the one that she had to withdraw. And then remember the girl that like came with them to the gym, did those snatches at like 145 or 155, and everyone was going nuts about it.
Which was so cool. Was cool. Yeah, I remember that. That was amazing.
That was one of my very first judging experiences. I got to judge at the Invitational. So I was there. I shared the bathroom with you. I remember like my friend was doing like Sarah Sigmund's daughter hair. She was a judge, she was an athlete, and she was doing her hair in the bathroom Like it was
Okay.
such a cool experience, like for everybody involved, and such an intimate,
Oh,
environment.
well,
So
so
go ahead.
just a little
Yeah.
like peek into one of the most memorable moments of that weekend was so the day before when we were getting like versed on all the events, the
Hmm.
deadlift burpee pull-up event, we like walked through what it would look like,
Right.
and
Oh,
I
I know
wasn't
exactly what you're gonna say. Go ahead. Because you're
over.
five
Okay, so
two, right?
yeah, so I wasn't so at before like before this happened and
Hmm.
chatter occurred, they weren't going to have any mats. So you're
Yep.
just going to have to jump from the ground. And I was the only person who tried it and legit could not jump to the bar. I've been working on my vertical, I promise, but like I wasn't reaching. And so I started to panic a little bit. I'm like, I'm just going to stare at this bar for a little bit. And Tia actually
Right.
pulled me aside and I
Yeah.
like remember it so vividly. Like we were walking back and she's like, it's going to be okay. You're going to do your best. You're going to like, it was just such a cool moment because she saw the struggle that I was going through in that moment, thinking I'm only going to do 21 deadlifts or whatever the workout was and not be able
Yeah.
to jump to the bar. And so she was able to like bring me back down. And then they ended up giving us mats anyways. And then I proceeded to do strict pull-ups. So once again, big learning opportunity took place that weekend. I feel like I've grown since 2019, but
That
I
was
was
a
able
that
to
was a
reach the
muddy
bar.
mess too, that
Yeah,
workout, because
yeah,
the ground was really wet, and I think Camille LeBlanc Bazinet couldn't reach either, because I remember
yeah,
talking to her about it in the bathroom. She's like, "This is ridiculous. Like they have to give us risers."
yeah. It was so high.
That's funny. Yeah, it's those 8-foot bars are just impossible for us to jump to. I love it.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
So that sanctional season, sort of talk us through the evolution of, your athleticism and your, way through the sport. Did COVID sort of hold you back a little bit with all that, or
Gosh.
were other things going on?
Yeah, it's so interesting to think back. Like, I feel like I could tell a story, and I haven't really walked through it myself. But so
Okay.
2019, Rogue Invitational takes place, and I decide after the Rogue Invitational that I need a true break from competing because
Okay.
I was both like physically and mentally drained after that weekend. And I was like, I just want to work. I had come off 2018 having done 10 competitions, go into Rogue Invitational, a lot of learning, a lot of hardship. I needed a little bit of a break. So we proceed to go through the rest of that season. And I believe it was in 2019 that I pivoted coaches.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm going to speak out of turn, but I think I did. I think that was when I switched coaches to Dom D'Agostino, who is a coach down in Naples, Florida, with the Brute
Yep.
Crew, which is really cool because at the time that wasn't really a thing, but now it is. And I did my
It really
quarterfinals
is.
down there. Yeah. So I did my quarterfinals down there with that crew, which was really cool. I'm like 10 years older than everybody, but that's fine as well. Those guys are really, really cool down there. So I pivoted to Dom. I think it was in November of 2019, and then or sorry, something like that. But
Yeah.
then 2020 happens, and I was actually at Atlas Games when everything shut down in March of
Okay.
2020. So then for 2 years in Canada, it was very challenging to get inside a gym. So I would say that what I learned over those 2 years is you don't need much to stay fit. Like I believe that
Okay.
before, but I believe it even more now. If you just have the willpower and the determination to stay fit, you can do that. So my fiance and I decided to take our garage and turn it into as much of a gym as we could, but there was no like doing muscle ups or anything like that. We don't have a high enough roof in the garage, but we outfitted it with what we could, and we trained in the gym in the garage for about like 2 years, honestly, like 2020 into the end of 2021. So the whole season last year, doing the virtual semifinals, I was just so thankful to be able to sort of compete. But I'm just really proud of sticking to the routine, working with my coach, saying like, okay, I have a rower and a skipping rope, and that's basically it, because I haven't received any plates yet from the gym or from Rogue. Rogue was a big help throughout the 2 years. So just chipping away at what we could do. And then finally, when the gyms opened up here in Canada, which was pretty late in the game, it was all right, let's get back into it. Let's get back into a routine. And I took the mindset that I had throughout COVID and then just started to apply it back into the gym. And here we are. And I feel like I've never been more fit than I am today. And I'm really excited to compete in person. I know so many of the people who are going to be at Atlas because I've been in the sport for so long. So I'm excited to see all those people. I think it's just going to be a really fun weekend. And I'm honestly just so grateful that I get to compete in person after the last 2.5 years of quite a tumultuous ride.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you been watching the semis up until now?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't watch as much as some athletes probably do, but I have a family and friend base around me that loves streaming them. So I definitely have been watching. And of course, like I have friends in the sport that I want to watch compete. So I've definitely watched snippets of all of the semifinals so far. Yeah.
So now that you've seen, 2 of the events that you're going to do, you've seen some other people execute them. Plus, on top of the events that you have, how are you feeling about these events? Are there any that you're excited about, that you want to give away that you're excited about?
Oh gosh. Oh, I don't. So I'm excited to see what I can do with the strength event. So strength has always been an area of development for me. And it's something that I have worked really like a lot on, but it's always going to be something that I chip away at. And I really surprised myself in quarterfinals, which was so cool. And the hype, again, down in Naples was amazing. I was just on cloud 9 hitting the list that I hit there. So I've given the complex a try. It's not going to be a 245, right? Like it's going to be in the late hundreds, early 200s, hopefully. But I haven't really decided what my openers are going to be, but I'm excited to see what I can hit with the crowd. We have a good crew of like 8 people going down from my home area. So I think that's going to be really fun just to see what I can do. And then the other event that we know is legless rope climbs. I'm super excited for the event because I've been working a lot on my legless rope climbs. I'm a little nervous because I've never done the grab and tap, and I'm picturing not tapping or missing or falling, but I just have to get that out of my head and just embrace that that's going to be the process. And there are, hundreds of other people who have done it before, so I can do it too. Right. So I'm excited to see how I can do on that event. I'm really looking forward to that. And the other 4 events, I don't really know what we're going to see, but I don't really. It's not like I don't want to see anything. I think whatever they throw at us, we've been training quite a wide range of things. I love muscle ups, burpees, a lot of gymnastic stuff, handstand walking, working a lot on those, handstand push-ups, heavier snatches, never been a forte, but again, working on those. So I kind of like when they throw something that isn't a strength necessarily, because you get to see how much improvement you've had, which is one of my, one of the things that I feel fulfilled by.
Awesome. Is Yaja a training partner of yours? Do you guys train together?
I wouldn't say we necessarily train together that much. We're really good when we compete together. We do really well. We're both the same height, and so we can move well together. And then being partners, we can communicate and whatnot. We actually did when they had the pair, like when CrossFit hosted the pairs competition, we ended up coming like 11th in the world, which is really cool just to do that together as a couple. But I would say we don't train together, partly because we have different goals right now. She is in the process of becoming a firefighter, so a lot of her training is specific to fire, and just our schedules. So she right now works full-time at the gym as she's working towards becoming a firefighter. So she's working when I'm training. Like I train 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's typically when she's working or finishing her workday, whereas she'll train in the middle of the day when she doesn't have clients or classes. But when we get together and do a workout together, if it's on the weekends, we have lots of fun. I would say if it's like a grinding workout and it's just like a 40-minute move, she will whip my butt every single time. She loves the long pieces. That's for sure.
Okay. It looks like you've partnered with the Out Foundation to raise money for Out Athletics. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that organization and how you came to be affiliated with it?
Yeah, so I partnered with them last year. I didn't partner with them this year multiple reasons, but they're a great foundation, don't get me wrong. It was more just around getting it set up in time and planning a wedding and all these other things. But last year I did partner with them to raise money, and I stumbled upon them actually through Sam Briggs. So she had posted about supporting that foundation, and so I did some research and I thought, wow, like this organization literally is for creating an inclusive environment for fitness for LGBTQ plus individuals. It's something that I absolutely wanted to get behind. And so I wanted to raise money for the foundation last year. And so that's what I decided to do.
Okay. You must not have a whole lot of stuff on your Instagram from then until now, because I assumed it was this year, and I apologize for not checking the date. Really? When I saw it, when I was going through your feed, you know, I was making some notes. Do you still work at Dell?
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's why I live at this computer. Like this is my office space. So yeah, I've been working for Dell for, oh my gosh, it's going to be, I think 8 or 9 years coming up in December.
And what do you do for them?
So I'm in tech consulting and tech sales. So I work with about 60 organizations in Ontario, and I consult for them and sell them Dell technologies or Dell solutions. So basically it's all about figuring out what challenges they're facing in the organization and determining what tech is going to help solve those challenges. And it's really cool. I mean, I think it's cool. Not everyone would think it's cool, but tech really does drive the world. That's why we can have this conversation right now. And in order for us to have an effective conversation, like we have to have the right compute capacity, we have to have a good wireless connection and all of these things. Well, businesses need so much more than just like a one-on-one conversation, because they have hundreds or thousands of employees. So I work with like IT teams at different companies and consult.
Cool. Do you still have your level 2? Do you have your level 2?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Do you do any coaching?
Yes, I do. So I coach right now. I coach about once a month at the CrossFit gym that I've been a part of for the 10 years. Once the season is over, who knows when that's going to be, I'll pick up some more shifts, but I coach part-time because of my passion for it. Like I love coaching. I love seeing, like so many CrossFit coaches, right? I love seeing people achieve their goals. That's one of my main drivers in life. So I do coach, but not as much as I used to. And that's just basically because time is limited and you have to prioritize. And right now, I'm so focused on like my full-time job, which is like a 9 to 5 or more. And then full-time training, plus wedding and all this other stuff. So I've definitely like reduced my hours, but I'm at the gym all the time, and I love coaching when I can. And oftentimes if a coach is in a bind and they're like, hey, can you grab my shift? I'll be like, yeah, for sure. Like I'll jump in, and cause I love it. And I love the community, and I know all the members and whatnot. So it's great. I love being there.
Yeah, I think we all do. I noticed that when Dave Castro was let go, you were moved enough to actually post something on your Instagram at the time. How do you feel about that? And how are you feeling now about CrossFit and sort of the state of affairs?
Yeah, so I think, so at the time I was nostalgic and I felt bad, like truly bad for this man who had dedicated so much of his life to this organization. I took a look at it from a business standpoint, honestly. And I saw this individual who was very high up in a company who had given so much of himself get let go by someone who hadn't been there very long. And I was like, gosh, you see this in the corporate world so often. That's just so unfortunate, but it's also reality. And so by posting and by reflecting, I really did feel bad, because I don't know all of the ins and outs and whys, but I know that the sport is what it is because of him. And it's so unfortunate that he didn't really have a say. And now where do I stand today with CrossFit as a company, CrossFit as an organization? Again, I look at them, even though I'm so passionate about the sport and I love playing it and I love what it's done for my life. I've found the love of my life. I've been able to travel the world. Like, this might be an unpopular opinion, but CrossFit is first and foremost a company, like a for-profit organization. So they're going to make decisions for the company. And I think some of the decisions that they make don't necessarily keep the athletes in the CrossFit Games sport top of mind. And we saw that through the 2022 season. So many athletes were negatively affected by poor decision-making. Poor decision-making by by people who are athletes or maybe not athletes and don't necessarily understand like the needs of the athletes. So it's hard, but they, as in CrossFit, they are not unique in that just like all of these other sports leagues, they're imperfect and they are run by imperfect people. We're all imperfect people and we can't expect perfection from anybody. So it's unfortunate when things go wrong, but we also have to have, as my lovely fiance would say, we have to have grace and understand that these are people who, for the most part, are trying to do what they believe is best.
Yeah, I like that. Good sentiment. Back to the Atlas Games. How far away do you live from the competition?
5 hours or so. Not
Are
too
you
far.
driving, flying?
Driving. Yeah, we're driving. Partly because some people still can't get on airplanes in this country. That's all I'll say about that.
Yep. Okay.
So we are absolutely driving, but that's okay. I love road trips. It's going to be interesting because of when registration is. We're going to have to leave in the middle of the night on Thursday morning. And for multiple reasons, we can't leave Wednesday night, but it'll be a good road trip. So we're going to drive, probably like leave 2 or 3 a.m. on Thursday morning, drive to Montreal, and then register, check in at 12. And then we don't compete until the afternoon on Friday. So we've got a good chunk of time. And yeah,
nice.
I'm really excited.
Who has your coach's pass for the weekend?
So my coach Dom has my coach's pass. So he will hopefully,
so he'll be there.
Yeah, barring any travel challenges, which in today's world, you never know.
Right.
He will be here. He's scheduled to come in. Oh, I hope he does. He's scheduled to make it in on Tuesday next week, which I'm so excited about because I only see him like
sparingly,
once a year if I'm lucky. So if he's able to make it, I think he's going to the Granite Games as well because of the Brute crew, and each of the Brute athletes had a different semifinal. So this will be week 4 of semifinals for him. So I'm pretty sure he's exhausted. But if he makes it in on Tuesday, I'll be just so over the moon, and we'll host him here at our house, and then we'll drive to Montreal together.
Perfect. That sounds great. What would you say is your ultimate goal for the weekend then, Nikki?
So I would say my ultimate goal for the weekend is to truly enjoy every moment, like standing on the starting mat, looking up and just taking in the fact that I'm here in person, giving everything that I have in every workout, dealing with adversity if and when it comes up, because it's rare to have a perfect weekend. So that I can get to the end of the weekend and know, yes, I gave it my all. 2, I had fun. And 3, I mean, see where the cards fall. I've worked really hard, and I mean, I think anything can honestly happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, but I don't necessarily have like a concrete placing goal. I think I'm absolutely going into the weekend wanting to make that top 5, and
sure.
if I can do it, that would be incredible.
Good. And my last question: what would you like people to be saying about you after watching you compete next weekend?
Oh my goodness, that's a very good question.
Deep, right?
I'm all about the deep questions and just thinking about life. That's the way I live. Yeah. So I would say if I had somebody, a stranger, looking at me competing and like being like, "Oh, that girl," finish that sentence. Yeah. I would say like I would want them to say like, "That girl works really hard. You can see that she's giving 100%." And I would say like, "That girl cares about the people around her, like her other competitors." I am a competitor and I want to win, but we are going to be 30 girls on that competition floor. And I really think it takes a village, including the village of competitors. So I want someone to be like, "Oh, hey, that girl really cares about the girl beside her or the other women on the floor," because I know what I've sacrificed to make it to semifinals, and all of the other girls have sacrificed the same or more. And so they're just going into the weekend. I have a base level of respect for all of my fellow competitors because it takes a lot of time and effort to get to this stage.
Yeah. And they should be honored to share the floor with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
It's been really nice getting to know you. Thank you for your time tonight. And we wish you the best of luck at Atlas, and stay tuned for more interviews with your fellow female competitors.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to watching them. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great night. Thanks so much.
All right, cool. You too.